Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Leslie and today we're making a Christmas card. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all those who celebrate. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm starting out by using the Simon Hurley cutting dies. This is called Candy Stripes. I did just go ahead and glue white on white there, and I'm only doing one set. You can do a second set and then you can make a plaid, so that's kind of fun. And then we're going to make a shaker card. So I'm using the Queen & Company Holiday Jar Kit. And we're going to create a little shaker jar here. I'm using some white for that outline. I'm using some Echo Paper Company papers for some of the other layers that we're going to be using for our card there. Sorry, guys. And then I'm using some trees from the shaker kit. The snowflake from the shaker kit, and then of course the lid for the jar. I'm also going to put on that mirrored cardstock there. So I'm going to go ahead and get some die cutting done here. And we'll get started, okay? All right, so now that we have our die cutting done, I did end up cutting that joy out a few times, once with the mirror cardstock, and then I think about 3 times with white, just to kind of give it a little bit more heft. This joy is from, I think, close to my heart or close to the heart. It was one of the ones that were gifted to me, and I think it's so pretty. And then I did find some snowflakes in my stash here. I'm using those here and there. I haven't decided quite if I'm going to use them, but some of them didn't quite make it out, so we're going to use the ones that are pretty. And then we're going to start by getting some ink blending on the middle of the jar and then some of these trees. So I do have my waffle flower. I think this is the 8.5 by 8.5. I just have the one size and it works great for me for everything. So I love being able to stick down these little pieces and go to town kind of thing. So I'm using Simon Says Stamp Positively ink in Morning for the sky here for the jar. And then I'm going to be using Pine for the trees. So my goal here is to kind of have like an idea of snow at the bottom. You won't see a lot of the bottom because of the shaker bits, but that's what I'm going for, is kind of a snowy scene. And then I'm just adding some of that pine around the edges of the trees just to kind of give them a little bit more depth. It just kind of ups your die cuts when you add a little bit more color to them, a little bit more of that shade and highlight kind of thing going. So that's what I'm doing here. I am kind of brushing along a little bit of it all just so it's a nice even blend. And I'm just using my little finger blenders there. So now I'm going to use a Jelly Roll pen. I believe it's literally just called Jelly Roll number 10. It's from Japan. And I'm just creating little snowflake dots here. And then I'm going to add a few to the tree as well, just to kind of continue with that snowy scene. And then I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive for the back of those snowflakes here. And we'll kind of continue creating our little snowy scene. Things won't... It won't be the clearest scene because, again, I'm going to use a lot of shaker bits. You can see in the top left corner here. But I am just using liquid adhesive to put down that tree. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the 2 little snowflakes that we die cut out. So that little set of shaker bits up in that corner, that was actually going to be used for a different card that did not pan out like at all. But I had mixed a couple different things of shaker bits, and I didn't want to then have to separate it again because that's a lot of work. So I'm like, I need to make another shaker card, specifically using these shaker bits. So that's where the colors are actually being inspired from as well. I did choose the papers from my Echo Park collection specifically for to go with the shaker bits, and that collection is the I Love Winter, which has lovely, pretty, very pretty papers here. Then have a little bit of that red, but it's mostly those shades of blues that I was really looking for. So I just really were inspired by that shaker bit, and then I am going to add just a little bit of red to that little collection going on. here in a little bit, just to kind of bring in some of the reds that I brought from the paper. So I did cut out the outline die as well from the jar, just so I could build up my jar by itself instead of having to try to figure out where I want it on the paper quite yet. So that's why I did that. Otherwise, I wouldn't necessarily need to do the outline die, because I could have just went straight onto the layered paper, but this just makes it easier for my brain. I am using the foam tape that comes in the kit. That's a great thing about the Queen & Co. shaker kits, is that the foam is already cut. And then that middle foam, don't throw that away. You will see how I use it a little bit later. But that foam adhesive is fantastic to use for layering, and especially for shaker cards, because it's a nice thick foam. So I'm just using some more liquid adhesive to put the back of the jar together here, and then we'll be adding some shaker bits here in a minute. I want to make sure it's positioned. It's a little, like, it's not edge to edge. And so I am pushing it up to the top so that the snow is with the white kind of thing. And then the shaker bits will hide any of those issues. And then I am adding some anti-static powder to the acetate, and that's because the shaker bits that I'm using, some of it is kind of a flaky glitter-esque thing, and part of what I learned with my oops earlier is that those square little pieces do static cling real bad, so that's why I'm putting that powder on there. And then I filled up my jar way too much, so we're gonna take some of this out. But I have a couple different little bits of shaker kits. This one is just called Glitter. It's Glitter Shapes. It's the Snowy Days. It has the snowflakes and the little squares in it. And then I have some, I think they're just called ice crystals. They're just clear little diamonds in there, mixed in there. And then I am going to add the little red crystals from the kit, just to bring in those red colors from the paper and the little snowflakes on that other pattern paper. So just getting that going for you guys. And I don't know about you, we don't travel a lot for our holidays. Thankfully, both sides of our family actually live where we live. So we got a full day yesterday for Christmas Eve on one side of the family, and then today, of course, we celebrate our morning Christmas as a family, and then we go to the grandparents and celebrate Christmas. So I don't know about anybody else, but it's a really busy weekend. Let me know what you guys are doing for the holiday season. Do you celebrate? Is it Christmas? Is it something else? Hanukkah, Kwanzaa? Let me know down in the comments. So I am just adding that acetate. I do tend to put a piece of removable tape on the acetate, because I tend to lose it real fast because it's so clear. And my desk is so, messy. So, so that's a quick tip, is use washi tape or use some removable tape. I believe this is the Simon Says stamp. I don't know, nice and not tacky. I don't know. Tape. But then we're just adding a little bit more of that liquid adhesive, and we're putting on the outline die. I love these dies. Queen & Co. just does a great job, because not only do they get all the individual pieces, but then the stitching is beautiful, and it's lovely. Because I'm putting it on acetate, I am going to take my acrylic block and hold it there for a little bit. That's just to keep the outline from shifting while it's drying. And then I'm going to bring in a little bit of more of that liquid glue. We're going to put some on the edge, and we're going to attach the little lid. So there's a couple other pieces that come with this holiday jar kit. One is a little handle that you could also add to it, but I'm going to be bringing in this red and white string just to kind of make it a little bit more festive. But apparently with this holiday jar kit, it's actually considered an add-on to the original Love Jar kit. So there's these short ones here, but then it also has some of those taller trees and things are actually for the taller jars in the Love Kit. But you're going to see here, I'm going to use them for the outside of my jar just to kind of create a whole little scene. And that's what you can do with them. You don't necessarily need the original kit to make this work. So that's really nice. I'm just going to be tying off a bow here. I do bring in my little tweezers here to kind of help hold. I struggled with this string. Of course, it's, there's more than one thread there, and I'm trying to do a tiny bow, and my fingers are not the most graceful. And so I probably fiddled with this bow for over 5 minutes, guys, which I'm not going to make you have to deal with. Now, you notice here that there isn't that little ledge kind of thing, and that could be fine, but I'm just going to add a little bit more from that foam adhesive that we had left over, just to kind of make it more even so that it doesn't bend or get snagged on the card. That'll also keep my string from falling off kind of thing or getting all wonky. So that's a nice little thing. And that way I don't have to add any glue to that string. So, and here I'm finicking with it again. It just, bows are not my friend. I struggle with bows. I'm learning, this is always a learning process here. But yeah, bows are not my friend. But now we're going to go ahead and get this card, finished putting together. So I am starting with this little banner. This banner die is just one from my stash. Like I said, guys, I've had some of my stash I've had for years. And then some of this came as a gift from an acquaintance of mine who was destashing her stuff. And so they're like from brands that I've never even heard of, or they don't have brand names because they weren't attached to anything. So that's why when I go, it's from my stash, it's because I literally do not know the name of the company that made these dies. But you can pretty much find banner dies almost anywhere. Simon Says Stamp, Scrapbook.com, any of Jaded Blossom, I think, has some. Like all these places have some of these. What would you call foundation dies? Even Queen and Company have foundation dies. It's literally called that. So that's just what they are. And then we're adding a circle here. Originally, I was going to put the joy over the circle. And so I was using the circle as kind of like a, to pop the joy out. But it ends up not fitting well. But I still keep the circle, and I still like how it ends up coming out. So you'll see it here. And then I love the backside of this paper too, but we're going with the snowflakes today because of the idea behind the design and everything. But that's why I really do like Echo Park paper. I had a lot of struggle with the shipping and things not being in and all that kind of stuff. So I think I might, from now on, if I decide to purchase it, I'm probably going to purchase it from one of my local crafter stores. We have Picnic Hill Create here in Lincoln, and she has the Echo Park kits, and I will probably purchase from her from now on because it would go smoother. It's like I like the product. I wasn't a huge fan of how it all ended up coming out, and part of that was it was their warehouse sale, but it just when the expectations, I think I had too high expectations. But anyway, moving on. We're just adding some trees. I'm kind of getting a feel for how I want things set up. Like I said, I was originally going to put the joy down there, but it didn't quite fit, and I didn't want to move my shaker, so I decided to put it in the top right-hand corner, and I think it actually kind of, what's the word that it balances out? There we go. I'm balancing out this card here. So I'm going to start by putting those trees down, and liquid adhesive is my go-to for this. Usually I use some runner's tape, tape adhesive. You know what I'm talking about. But because of the ridges that the background die created, I just went with liquid glue, and then it's easier with all these little edges just to really make sure I'm getting a good adhesion, stickiness. What am I trying to say, guys? I don't know. It's been a really long day. I am filming the voiceover here on Christmas Eve, and we've been up really early because we had church really early. And I think I need another cup of coffee, guys. But anyway, getting that third tree down. And then we're going to move on to get the jar on there as well. So just adding a little bit of glue to both the backing and to that foam adhesive at the top did have some sticky on it, but I decided to add a little bit of glue just to really make sure it stays. And then that gives me a little wiggle time to make sure that my jar is lined up. And then last but not least, well, not last, but as you'll see here in a minute, I need something else. But we're just going to add some more liquid adhesive to the Joy. And I love this font, guys. It's so pretty. I believe I have Noel as well. And then you saw the Christmas in an earlier video. That Christmas die is long. Like it's made for like 5x7 cards kind of thing. Because I tried to put it on a normal 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so an A2, which is what this card is. And even landscape, it did not fit. So that card ended up being a really weird size too. It was like 4 1/2 by like 6. It was weird, but it'll work. It'll fit in a 5x7 envelope. So we're still gonna, or I'm just gonna hand it to someone. I'll probably just hand it to someone at this point. But I did end up bringing in my snowflakes that I die cut. I wasn't sure if I was going to use them or not. I really like the bigger one, the style, but I felt like it was too big for my card. So I went with the smaller one. And of course I went with the one that did not get damaged by my, skills guys. I feel like if I were to do this again, I probably would have die cut this one out with white as well, like I did with the Joy, just to make it a little bit thicker, because these are really, really delicate dies. I believe these were from scrapbook.com. They're just one of their snowflake sets. But they are so, so delicate, which is why I had some issues with the die cutting as well, because I was trying to pop it out and I pulled too hard and ripped one. But it ends up working out, and it gives just enough of that little bit of shine, and I just feel like that balances out the card so well. So then I am going to take a white backing, and because I already put the shaker jar and everything on my card, I decided just to do foam tape on the actual card base. So that's what you see here. I wanted to bump it up just because my card is starting to warp a little bit because I put so much of that liquid adhesive with the candy stripe die. It is starting to warp a little bit, so that's why I decided to use some foam tape here. Plus, dimension. I'm going to hand this to someone, so I'm not worried about the cost of shipping, mailing. There we go. And so I am adding liquid glue. Guys, this is I needed to refill my glue. That's how much I got through today. But that just gives me a little bit more wiggle room because I can't get it straight ever the first try. See, you saw that? Yeah. It's because it took me a couple tries. But this is the final card, and I love how it came out. You don't really see that bottom snowflake in the jar, but that's fine. If you do see it, it's a little bit of extra. So this is my final card. I hope you guys are having a great holiday. You'll see more Christmas cards eventually. I'm going to do a whole yearly series. So I hope you guys have a great holiday. Have a great day. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. I'll see you next time. Merry Christmas. Bye.